And I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Watkins so that she can get us started. Thank
So
you.
again, yes, thank you, Marissa. Thank you guys for inviting us again out today. And a little bit of the information that we're going to be sharing, or most of the information that we're going to be sharing, is similar to what we shared last year. Um, we were wondering if you had any additional questions that you may want it answered this time, and so we can definitely do that at the end if there's information that's not covered in the slide deck. And again, for those that do not know me, I'm Dr. Niecy Watkins. I am the executive director for our special education department in San Diego Unified. And then I'm here with my supervisor, my friend, my colleague, Miss Marissa Allan, and we're going to be presenting tonight and sharing some information with you. So we're excited to be here. So this is just our organizational chart. We shared this last year. The reason why we continue to share this is that we want just everybody to understand that our focus is always centered around students. So all that we do in San Diego Unified, from our superintendent all the way down to our classroom staff, all of our efforts are all centered around how we support our students. And so this particular chart here just kind of outlines my particular department, special ed, but again, this circle is similar to the format that we use as a district office. And again, just sharing it again, just to show that all of our efforts are around supporting students. So a little bit about students with disabilities. So we do support students with disabilities through the ADA process, 504s, or through the IEP process. Those are specific ways that students can be supported. Next slide, please. And currently, right now in San Diego Unified, we support about total enrollment is about 94,000 students. And of that 94,000, I believe it's roughly about 1,700 students that we support right now that have IEPs. And so again, currently about 1,700 students. I think this number has gone up since we put this information in here, but roughly about 17,000 students that have an IEP are supported by our district. And that age range is from birth to age 22. And again, students are eligible for special ed services through our Education with Disabilities Act, which you're familiar with, formally or mainly known as IDEA. And again, there are 13 categories by which students can qualify for receiving special education services. And I'm not going to read them all, but I do have them listed here. The primary ones that students are often identified under is specific learning disability, autism, and then speech and language impairment. But we also do have other students that have multiple disabilities, intellectual disabilities, as well as our students that may be deaf or hearing impaired or visually impaired, things of that nature. But these are the 13 qualifying categories that a student can be supported under the IDEA process. We do have a continuum of how we support our students. We did share this information last year also, and it continues to stand. We like to support our students in what we refer to as the least restrictive environment. And so that least restrictive environment is based on the needs of the student. And so most of our students, the majority of our students, are supported in the gen ed environment, and they're identified as being mild mod, meaning that they need mild to moderate supports. Just one little caveat, I didn't change the slide, but the state has come out with new terminology for the credentials for our ed specialists. And so now you may see language that might say extensive mild mod support needs, or you might see ESN, which used to be our moderate severe. It's now extensive support needs. And so just wanted to make sure that you may hear us use the term moderate severe, but right now we are mostly focusing on the terminology extensive support needs, or ESN, which is the new state terminology. So again, we like to start our students out in what we consider the least restrictive environment. They are learning alongside their gen ed peers. And then for some of our students that may need even more, a higher level of support based on their needs, they might be in our extensive support needs. And then we do have a percentage of students who may need a totally separate setting. And so We'll get into what those separate settings could look like a little later on in the slide. And these are all still within San Diego Unified. Mild, moderate, extensive support, and our separate settings are still part of San Diego Unified. Then we do have what we call our non-public or our alternative district sites. And our non-public schools are schools that we partner with where our students may need an even higher level of support. And so we partner with schools, or we contract, I should say, with other non-public agencies, school districts, not districts, but schools that will support our students. We also have alternative settings at San Diego Unified, like our Marcy, Riley New Dawn, or our Whittier, and we'll talk about those a little bit later also. And then we do have, unfortunately, a small percentage of students who may need a very, 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 very high level of support and care. We call this our most restrictive, and these students are in residential treatment centers. Again, this is a very small percentage of our population, but we do still have to address the needs of these students. And so a lot of these students will have to stay in our residential treatment centers, and most of the residential treatment centers are not here in San Diego. Next slide, please, Marissa. So our program environments, I just talked about this a little bit, our mild to moderate support needs class and our extensive support need class. Last year, many were wondering what the formula is for how we support students, and it's still the same. An ed specialist will have a caseload of 20. And so our ratio is 20-1, and that's a state, ours is a little lower than the state average. The state average, a caseload is usually about 24 to 28. And right now, San Diego Unified's ed specialists hold a caseload of about 20 in our moderate setting. For our ESN setting or environment, our case managers have a load of 12-1. And that is still the state average. So we are still in alignment with the state average there. With regards to our paras that support those classrooms, for our mild mod, again, it's sites get one para for every 20 students. And then for our ESN classroom, it's a little bit more. Sites are allocated 2 paras per ESN classroom. And then if more staff is needed, then they go through a specific process for that. I'm excited about this slide this year because last year, I think when I presented to you guys this information about vacancies across the district, you might remember if you attended last year that we probably had about 25 full-time mild mod vacancies, and we had about 17 ESN credential vacancies. That's a lot. And so we were like many other districts where we were struggling to find ed specialists to support in classrooms. And this is not a San Diego Unified issue. This is literally a nationwide issue. But we are so excited to share this year that through the hard work of our HR department, I wish I could take that credit. I cannot. But our human resource department, who we partner with all the time, they did a phenomenal job in reaching out to universities earlier, different programs earlier, programs that we have within our district, a pipeline for staff members to go through to become ed specialists. We partnered with national agencies and things of that nature. And so this year we were able to get that number down to 8 for mild mod and only 4 for our ESN classrooms. Now, I do also want to share that number 8 is actually would have been 0 about 2 weeks ago. But we did have to readjust some numbers because San Diego Unified received some students after the school year had started that we weren't expecting. And so it did create the need for more teachers, and which is why it's at 8. We also had to open up some ESN classrooms again because we were welcoming in some families that we were not expecting into the district. So it did create 4 additional ESN classrooms. So that's why we have those vacancies. But the good news is that we know that they're going to be filled. We're not worried about that through our shifting process. But to go from 25 to 8 and to go from 17 to 4 is a huge victory. So we're excited about that. Yes, exactly, Miss Sabrina. We are definitely excited about that. With regards to our paraeducators, we're in a transition process now where we are reassigning paraeducators. So I couldn't really put the number of vacancies that we have in this particular area at this current moment. If that's something that you'd like, I can send it at a later date. But we don't believe that that number is going to be high either. Again, it was kind of high last year. I want to say maybe like 100 or something, but this year, because of our shifting processes, we know that that number is going to be a lot lower also. And then you can see the other percentage there, one vacancy in DHH, and that's still the same vacancy that we had last year. So we're excited that our staffing profile is much better than where we were last year at this time. Marissa? So an overview of our student support in the gen ed environment. Again, we consider all of our students gen ed students first. The IEP process just happens to be a label that tells us as a team how we need to support this student. And then again, I've already talked about this. We have students in our ESN program, and then we do have flexible learning environments throughout all of our campuses where students may receive some push-in services and supports, as well as maybe some pull-out services. But all of that is generated by the assessment process and then agreed upon as a team. And so it's very individualized as to what that learning environment might look like for some of our students. For example, we do have students in our ESN classrooms that may spend some of their day in the gen ed environment also. Marissa? So what's working? So site support is still the number one thing that we believe is working. Unfortunately, our department, just like every other department in San Diego Unified, did have to make some adjustments and some changes to our staffing size. But we're still able to get out at sites and give the support that our new teachers need. We do have a lot of new staff in our district this year. And so my department has partnered with Dr. Kimberly Moore, who Marissa, I forget the name of her department, but she specifically supports new teachers, our intern program. What's the name of her department again, Marissa?
Diversity, inclusion, and development.
Yes.
Inclusion.
Thank you. Yes. And so we partner with her because her department directly works with those new staff that are coming in as interns, short-term permits to teach, intern programs, things of that nature. And so we partner with her on a very regular basis. My team meets with her team, I want to say twice a month, because we go out to the sites together and support. So we schedule, who's going to be out supporting these teachers, because the majority of her teaching staff, the new ones, are students that are or staff that have a special ed credential. So we believe that that's an important role for the both of us to do to make sure that our staff stay with us in San Diego Unified. So we have definitely prioritized that work. Again, areas of growth, still probably funding and the market. So again, like I said, we did very well with filling our vacancies this year, and we want to keep that at the forefront. So we're continuing to partner with HR. Funding is always still going to be a concern. And then training and development, just being able to really get in front of these new staff that we have and just making sure that they have the training, the development, the growth, the support that they need. We still continue to work on our family engagement piece. My department has monthly meetings twice a month with our CAC, our community advisory group, which is specifically around families that have IEPs. And so we're strengthening that connection. This year, we're also proud to announce that that side-by-side coaching with administrators. Well, we started that process by being able to get in front of all of the administrative staff, both principals and APs, as well as teachers, for a day-long training and professional development. And so that went over very well. And so now our program managers are continuing that level of support through those one-on-one connections and being on campuses and being responsive. My senior director is over instruction, and so she's also doing a lot more walkthrough site visits, supporting staff and supporting leaders. So we're continuing that side-by-side process. Areas of growth is always still going to be ownership. making sure that everybody on a campus understands that our students with IEPs are still gen ed students first, and it's our responsibility to all put our heads together to figure out how we support our students. So those are the main ones. And then I'll turn it over to Marissa. Marissa, do you want to do questions now for mine, or do you want to wait until the end?
We can do questions for yours now.
Okay.
Are there any questions? Mary Ann, go ahead.
I'm scared about numbers, because I don't see you unless you want to put yourself in.
I'm chair of the Gate District Advisory Committee, which is a parent-led advisory committee in the district. And I just wanted to ask Dr. Watkins if you could talk a bit about the sort of special subset of special education students who are dual identified or twice exceptional, or 2E as we call them. They are students who are identified both for special education services and also have been identified as gifted. And can you say a little bit about that group and sort of what the district is doing to help support those special needs of those students? Thank you.
Absolutely. So I can speak on the special ed side of it. So you're correct. We do have students who are dually identified as being twice exceptional GATE, as well as needing special ed services, similar to our students that are multilingual. With regards to our students that are identified GATE, when we look at how we support them, we look at that through the lens of the IEP process. And so although they are identified GATE, we do look at, when we do the assessment, based on what does this student need for them to be successful on their path. And so we do try to make sure that we are teaching to their strengths as well as their areas of concern. But our focus is primarily on what does the assessment say to us based on their IEP goals and their IEP needs. So that's our primary focus. But again, because we know that these students are twice exceptional, it really just depends on what the data is telling us. For example, you may have a student who identified as twice exceptional, but still may need support in both reading and math. And so we still address their primary need, understanding that our goal with any student is to build off of their strengths, right? And so whether they're twice exceptional or not, our goal is to build off of their strength. But for our students that are twice exceptional, we also look at what area are they strong in and what can we do to build off of that, while we're also identifying those areas that we need to support and strengthen them in. So definitely our focus is predominantly on the side of the IEP.
I have a question. My name's Tara Ryan. I'm with the City of San Diego's Office of Child and Youth Success. Personally, I'm also a parent who has a student in the district with an IEP, and he's one of those twice exceptional students, also GATE identified. And just sort of anecdotally, he didn't receive any services related to his GATE identification at all through middle school. He's in high school now. I think that was like a slipping through the cracks kind of piece. But my main question is around data and outcomes. I look at the California school dashboards for the district pretty regularly as part of my role with the city and the Office of Child and Youth Success, and really looking at disparities. And I'm sure you're aware that students with disabilities are showing really, poor outcomes across almost all indicators, including graduation rates, access to college and career readiness courses, A to G courses, also absences, suspensions, et cetera. And so I guess I'm interested in how you all are using that data, and really like an honest response to like what the expectation is for students with disabilities in terms of, I'm assuming a bunch of the kids with IEPs are dyslexic. We know that like about 10% of the population has dyslexia. And with the proper support and strategies and some accommodations, there's no reason that those students can't have the same outcomes that any other student does in terms of graduation rates, college and career readiness, et cetera. And so I guess just an honest and, realistic response about, what do you see as the reason that those outcomes for students with disabilities are still as low as they are? And how are they really being addressed in I would say, like, kind of a radical way to actually move the needle in what we see with outcomes?
Mhm. So, Marissa, do you want me to answer or do you want to answer?
I can answer part of it and maybe you can add to it, Dr. Watkins. So one of the things, and you asked for an honest answer. One of the things that we have done with the change in our administration at San Diego Unified is really focused on data. And so you mentioned looking at data constantly in the area that you work in, and that's something that we're doing as well. The dashboard, unfortunately, doesn't really give us a drill down to the actual student level in order for us to see the interventions that might be beneficial to the students. So one of the things that we did radically, I guess you would say, as a district, is that we have created, Fabi the Bagula created a whole new department that is tracking data for our students and building dashboards. And one of the new things that we have for our site leaders is we have data dives. Through those data dives, we're analyzing and drilling down all the way down to the student level as far as where are the gaps. And so we're looking at that data very carefully and planning accordingly so that we can personalize learning for our students. But it's been very valuable to the leaders, and it's been very valuable to the teachers that are working with the students, because they're able to pull the data in real time based on the assessments that we're giving as a district to address the needs of the students. So I would say that's the biggest change that we've made as a district. I don't know if you wanted to add to that, Dr. Watkins.
I do. I want to add a little bit to that because I'm going to agree with the part you were saying that our dashboard doesn't drill down to the actual individual student. And so when we look at our students with IEPs, I'm going to specifically put my principal lens back on. And when I would share this information or question with parents, we look at the student's IEP and what their goals are and what the progress is on their goal. And so our dashboard data is a moment in time. It's on a state level test. And so what we look at is how are they doing on their actual individualized progress, their individualized goals. And so the expectation is not that our students are making the same exact gains from year to year as their general ed peers. We're looking at, are they making gains based on what the IEP team, along with the parents, have said, here's where we would like for this student to be by the end of this year. And so when we look at how we support our students with IEPs, we look at them, which is why we meet yearly or every 6 months or how often is needed to see if they're actually making progress on that goal. If 6 months in, a student is not making progress on that goal and we're not seeing the progress that we would like to see, then parents have the right to say, hey, would love to come back to the table. Even the IEP team can come back into the table and say, this is not working. We may need to look at something else, or if this is working, we continue this. So I just want to make sure that we understand that we look at the students' goals from year to year to see if that's what they're making progress on, because that's why they have that IEP.
So just a follow up to that, and I know I'm here in my professional capacity, but I do have this personal experience as well. And so I do know that there is new leadership, and I'm happy to see some of the improvements that you all talked about, making in terms of professional development and working with principal administrators and working to support instruction. But as a parent who went through this recently and had a really challenging experience, that, like what you just described, in my experience, like hadn't been happening. And so I know that it's one thing to kind of make plans but like to get all the way from sort of central office planning down to every school and the educational specialist and the paras and the principals who, from my experience, like weren't even close to where they needed to be to sort of have the outcomes that I think you all are talking about. Is that being addressed in a really comprehensive and I would say intensive way beyond just sort of like some professional development, a couple days a year?
Yes, and that's why I was saying, so we started with that because we do have a lot of new principals and leaders in our system, as well as new staff. But we have to start with giving them the information, and which is what we did. And so my program managers, their primary responsibility is to sit side by side with site leaders and support them in these processes, support them in IEP meetings if needed, support them prior to. And then we have our central office resource teachers who are also on those teams who are supporting those teachers. So yes, our goal is to get to that outcome that you're describing. And so that's what we are trying to shift, which is why we started with the professional development, giving them the information. And when I say give them information, we had a series of workshops that we took them through. It wasn't just a whole group. We shared a lot of different aspects of supporting students with IEPs. And now we're doing that coaching, that side by side. And like I said, my senior director, who's over instruction, she's out on campuses now on a regular basis, also sitting side by side with teams inside our classrooms to make sure that what we're hoping for, the outcomes for students, is actually happening. So yes, that is our end goal, and we are working toward that.
Thank you.
I see that Serena had her hand up for a while, and then we'll go to Penny.
Awesome. Yeah, I just had a quick question about collaborations with early education providers. So in terms of like preschool, so I work for Educational Enrichment Systems. We have, we serve 1,300 students, 0 to 5 throughout San Diego County. And just wanted to know more about how San Diego Unified and your department are working with preschool providers in terms of prevention. So like to prevent, if it is mild to moderate, getting the services at preschool before they go into San Diego Unified. So then they actually can come into school perhaps without an IEP or an identified special need. And in some cases, obviously not all of them. So just wondering about that collaboration and kind of your future thoughts on where you think that's headed.
Yeah, so to be totally transparent and honest, that is actually part of our focus this year. So I have a director that's over our early childhood program and a program manager. And we also partner with another director in our district who's actually over our early learning program. And so that is actually going to be a part of our focus this year about that preventative work. And then again, as a district, one of our goals is going to be that preventative work for all of our students, trying to make sure we're intervening before they even need to be identified. But yes, if we can identify and support those early learners, then absolutely, I think we would have less students that would need that additional support later on. And so, yes, that is actually, I was sharing with Marissa earlier this year that early learning and partnering more with them is part of one of our tasks this year to do, so that we can identify that. So absolutely.
And we'd love to, if it's okay, I'd love to reach out to Marissa or Dr. Watkins just to see who the contact is, because we've worked before in this space and could, if you wanted, you're talking about data and diving into data on a larger level and an individual level, we would be interested to partner and see kind of like what those collaborations, the difference they make in terms of when our students do enter San Diego Unified. And hopefully that can draw down funding and all of that good stuff that comes along with it. So thanks.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I would add, Dr. Watkins, that collaboration started over the summer even, because both of our directors on the gen ed side and the special ed side have been working very closely. And I know that multiple classrooms have the gen ed teacher and the ex teacher there. And so they're collaborating, they're working together, and it's not a class full of students that have IEPs necessarily. So they're able to identify strategies that work for all students and able to see how they can support the students before they even qualify for IEPs. So we're very excited about that collaboration. And Serena, I'd be happy to connect you with the right folks.
Awesome. Thank you, Bertha. Awesome.
And I want to add a little bit more to that. It actually started even the year before that, because Dr. Bagula actually had a work group where we were all coming together around this issue. So yes, so we're working on it, and yes, absolutely.
Okay, we have one more question, Penny.
Okay, I'm gonna let my daughter ask the question.
Hi, my name is Laura, and I actually work for the school district.
Yes.
And one of the things that I'm finding very difficult this year is I work directly in ESN classrooms, and I'm finding that the classrooms are all over capacity.
Mhm.
So my main concern is when I go into these classrooms to support the students is their safety. So
Mhm.
I'm kind of wondering where the number 12 kind of came from,
Mhm.
because it just seems like a lot of students with, various difficulties within the classroom. There for multiple of issues that they're dealing with in the classroom. And I'm always seeing just in terms of like giving different PIFs, breaks and things like that throughout the day. It's just been overwhelming in those classrooms. So I just want to know how the district is handling these overcapacity classrooms.
Absolutely. So that's a very good question. Thank you for that. So part of what I was sharing earlier in the presentation about having to add additional classes, we added additional ESN classes about 2 weeks into the school year, because you are correct. We had a high percentage of our ESN classes that were over that 12 cap. We were not expecting a lot of these students. We gather a lot of information, matriculation information, prior to the end of the school year to see who's going to be returning, who's going to be transitioning from middle to high, middle to high, elementary to middle. So we do a lot of data. We get a lot of data. And we had a lot of families that were very new to San Diego Unified, or decided to not stay in the preschool program and go into TK. And so we had a lot of families that we were not expecting, which made a high percentage of our ESN classrooms go over. So as a result of that, within the first 2 weeks of the school year, Miss Marissa and other management level decided, we all just came together and we decided that we needed to allocate additional classrooms for that exact reason, safety. For example, we had one classroom, should have been 12, and they were over by 7. So we immediately added another classroom to that campus, got staff at those campuses in the form of a sub the first couple of weeks. But in some cases, we were actually able to secure a teacher. For those sites that maybe were only over by about 1 to 3 students, still, again, a safety concern. We were partnering and still are partnering with the HR department to at least get a sub in those classrooms. So we opened 6 additional classrooms before the end of the school year. And then as a result of this influx of students, which is perfectly okay, we ended up having to add an additional 7. So yes, we were over capacity in a lot of our classrooms, but we've since rectified that. If there's a classroom that's still over by 1 to 3, we are still working with HR to make sure that they get a sub so that they can get another body in that classroom for safety. Because that is our number one goal, regardless of whether it's gen ed or special ed. Safety is the utmost of concerns for us. And so that's how we've been able to try to mitigate that problem. If you're saying that your school site is still over, please let me know. Because again, like I said, I was just working with HR yesterday, making sure that a couple of classes that we just found out were over, were actually able to get a sub or a teacher for the classroom if needed.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All righty. I'm going to go ahead and get us started with the Multilingual Education Department's presentation. Veronica Lopez Mendez is the executive director for that department. She couldn't be here today, but I am more than happy to share the information today. In fact, I used to run that department before I was given the role that I have now. So with that, let me make sure that we have access and that you can see my screen. Let's see here. Are you able to see the slide?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So with that, I wanted to go ahead and share some numbers with you. We currently have our numbers in the amount of multilingual learners has decreased over the last few years. We are at 13,825 students that are identified as English learners in our district. That number, as I said, has significantly been reduced over the last 5 years. Of those students, we have 2,991 students that are duly identified. We were talking about twice exceptional earlier. These are duly identified students that receive special education services. Of those 13,000 students listed here, we have approximately half of our students enrolled in a dual language program. Half, which is a fantastic percentage to have, because the golden standard for students that are learning English is for them to be in a dual language program. They will learn English at a faster rate by promoting their primary language first and then learning English. So we're really happy to report that almost half of our EL population is in a dual language program. As a district, we value language and culture through our dual language programs. San Diego Unified actually has 25 dual language programs in our TK through 8 classrooms, with pathways at 11 middle schools. Part of our goal the last 3 years has really been to close the gap in those pathways. In the past, students would have the dual language program in our elementary schools, and really we're looking to continue on with that pathway in middle school and through high school. But we had many gaps and we've been closing them, closing those gaps by opening more opportunities for our students in middle schools and high schools. And most recently, we're also very happy to announce that we have an additional elementary school that has opened a dual language program in our district, and that's at Miramar Ranch Elementary. Here's some more data, and this is also very exciting news. I'm really proud of the team in our multilingual education department, because we have seen huge increases in the amount of students in our district that are receiving the California State Seal of Biliteracy. Now, the languages that are represented with these seals of biliteracy that go on their promotion certificate are languages such as ASL, Mandarin, French, German, Italian. I have them listed here on the slide for you, but you can see that back in the spring of 2022, we only had 398 students in our district graduating with the seal of biliteracy. And every year that has had a huge increase. Up until spring of 2025, we had a 26% increase in the amount of students receiving the seal, for a total of 758. We are leading the way as a district. Our biggest competitor is Long Beach Unified. And so that's something that our Department of the Multilingual Ed takes very seriously, and something that we've been promoting with all students. You do not need to be in a dual language program in our district to receive the seal of biliteracy. You just need to be able to prove that you are proficient in another language other than English in order to receive this seal. So it's excellent news, and our new goal is that we will have up to 1,000 graduates receiving the seal of biliteracy by 2028. So we want to increase 10% each year. Also new, we were able to launch our Newcomer Welcome Center that provides wraparound support services for our newcomer students and families. We have them placed at Hoover High School, San Diego High School, Mira Mesa High School, Lincoln High School, and Crawford High School. They all have newcomer welcome centers that are staffed with counselors, resource teachers, providing support to our students. It's really just a place where our students and our families can learn about our district. They can learn about the resources. It's a welcoming space for them, addressing some of their fears and providing resources that are out there in the community for these families. Some of the services that are provided at these welcome centers is an introduction to school, a getting to know you interview. We want to learn more about them to figure out what classes we can place them at that are more appropriate for them, giving them language assessments, mental health support, and basic needs. We even have a community closet, and they're able to do some, I would say shopping, but they're not really paying for some clothing, and lots of support from community partners that we partner with. And so what are we focusing on this year? We're partnering with 15 schools to offer concentrated professional learning to improve outcomes for our multilingual learners. And so we have the capacity to support multiple sites with guidance and professional development, but specifically these schools are the ones that signed up to receive professional development in GLAD strategies, which are proven strategies to improve learning English for our students. And that's the GLAD Guided Language Acquisition Design. We also have other sites that signed up for professional development with UCSD around learning how English works. We're also building capacity of our staff so that they become trainers of trainers, so that we can begin to build more capacity district-wide. But this is really our focus area for the multilingual education department this year when it comes to professional development at our sites. So with that, I am able to take some questions that you may have. Any questions? Or celebrations?
Yes. My name's Ruth Kaplan, and I help out a family that was new some years back. And I wondered if you have statistics on what numbers of previously tested English language learners have reached proficiency each year by school.
Reclassification rates is what you're, I'm
That's
assuming
right.
you're alluding to, and I don't have it right here on hand, but I
Right.
can definitely get that and provide that to you. We do have that, and it's something that we report on the California dashboard every year. So that information is public year after year on what our reclassification rates are. Mhm.
And have those been improving over time, or is it
Yes.
the same?
Yes.
Or-
Yes, over the last 5 years, our reclassification rates of students have gone up. And the number of long-term English learners, which are the amount of students that are not reclassifying or not making the growth that they need to make, has gone down.
Great. I wonder, Penny, whether they could give you those numbers to distribute to the rest of us. Penny? She may be muted.
Yeah. No, that would be fine. If you want to pass them on, I'll try to forward them to everybody.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to.
Thanks so much.
Mhm.
Okay.
Welcome.
Mary Ann
Mary
also has her, yes, Mary Ann.
You want to run? We show them.
I'm excited about the newcomer welcome centers. That's a really great resource, and I probably speak for the other chairs of the district advisory committees that we'd love to be sure that the people running those newcomer welcoming centers are aware of all the great supports and resources that that are provided by the district advisory committees to parents. Those are all parent support committees. So yeah, if there's some way for you to reach out to the parent leaders group through Pamela King maybe, and let us know how to connect with them so we can be sure that we can help support all these wonderful new families. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Marianne. Absolutely. We can, all the help that we can get is awesome. Building partnerships and having you there as a support and all of the parent leaders is amazing. It's what makes it so great. And I invite all of you to come visit any one of those sites. It's open. You can stop by and see what's happening at those welcome centers. they've really been set up almost like a living room at every single site. And it's just a huge accomplishment, and kudos to the whole team that had the vision for that. We had our ribbon cutting ceremony a few months ago, and so we're really excited about that, and our wellness centers that exist at other sites. So definitely make that information available to the teams. Thank you so much.
This is Ruth again, regarding the newcomer sites. Has it been considered to have some, at least one point of contact for families that arrive here during the summers to connect with the school system, to learn more about, you know, what they need to do to be ready for school in the fall?
Yes, in fact, one of our biggest partnerships is within the community when we have refugees or newcomers that come into the city that have not enrolled their students yet. They are automatically connecting those families to our newcomer welcome centers. So they teach them.
Of July,
Go ahead.
because a couple of years ago, I tried to help such a family during the summer, and I was just told to call back when it was school registration time.
Oh, I see what you're saying. If we can be open during the summer.
Good, and maybe if you could provide Penny with what the contact information would be, for example, this coming summer.
Will do. I can provide that contact. We're not the newcomer welcome centers really depend on the staff that we have. And the staff some of the staff are 11-month employees, and they're able to provide some coverage and services at the newcomer welcome centers, but I'm not quite sure what their schedule looks like. I will definitely inquire with the multilingual ed department and make sure that that information is available to your team.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And Penny or Marissa, I just need your email. I have Penny's email, but I don't know, with the easiest way to share, I can grab it out of the chat or just whatever's easiest. Thank you.
I will put my email in the chat.
Perfect. That's fantastic. Thank you. And I think all of the certifications and embracing multilingualism is amazing. So I think that's an exciting shift. And hopefully, you know, the district continues along that because it's a strength. So thank you.
Thank you. Mary Ann, did your hand go up again, or was that an accident?
I have one more question, if you don't mind.
Oh, not at all.
I just wanted to follow up on the new sort of dashboard information that's allowing the school leaders to be able and teachers to be able to drill down more to the student level. That is a really awesome development. I'm really excited about that. And I just wondered if you could tell us sort of how far along in the process that is. Is that dashboard already up and running? And then the follow-up is just, it's great to think about our spotlight students too, because I think that these students who are, you know, dual and triple identified, you know, GATE students who may be English language learners and be in special ed, you know, they have a lot of barriers to their learning. And so I just want to encourage the district to continue to monitor the data for those specialized students, because we can help them better if we understand the whole child. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. Those dashboards are up and running. They're very robust. And one of the things that Dr. Del Rosario, who is the creator of these dashboards, he has put in so many ways that we can filter the data, triangulate the data. And those are some of the things that he goes over when he's creating data literacy with our leaders and our teachers, is how it's not just looking at the data, what do I do with it? But also teaching them all of the different bells and whistles that come with the dashboards that he has created. And so those have been up and running, and so have the sessions. They're very consistent throughout the year in providing that data literacy to our leaders. What is not up and running yet, but it's definitely in the works, and hopefully next year we can report this to you, is an app for parents, similar to, and I know that Dr. Bagula has mentioned this at several committees, is her vision really is to have an app for parents to see at a moment's time where their child is, similar to an Uber, like where the car is. How is my student on their pathway to graduation? What's missing? And so that's coming next. Dr. Del Rosario, who has created these dashboards, is working on that app, and it can't be here soon enough because I know that we're all very excited about it. But yes.
Thank
that's-
you. I appreciate your partnership. Thank you.
Thank you.
You. So again, appreciate you guys inviting us out. I do have to step away. I have another parent meeting that starts in about 3 minutes. So looking forward to possibly, hopefully being here next year to answer more questions. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thank-
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.